What's up, graphic designers? In tonight's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to design something that, quite frankly, we really hate getting all the time. But you think about it, it's actually a very good tool to learn from every time we get one. And those are creatively designed email blasts. Welcome back, glad to be back, to another episode of Graphic Design Layout Bootcamp, where in every episode I take a fictitious brand that I designed in my previous series, which was called Logo Design Bootcamp, and now I put that logo on something that you graphic artists are going to learn from. This is the 16th episode in the series. There's about another 10 in the series left. But in today's episode, we're going to jump back in time to a logo that I designed for Pixel Perfect printing, okay? And now this logo, like I said, it needed to go on some type of a design. So what I decided to do in this episode, I haven't designed one yet in this series, is an email blast. Here's a quick shot of what you're going to be designing today. And I'm going to go over some theory and certain things you want to keep near the top because certain size resolutions on computers and what are the average sizes of email blasts, stuff like that. So I'm going to be designing this fully in Adobe Illustrator CS6 today. And the best part about this entire series is if you click the link below, you'll be able to download these files without, the only thing that's going to be out of there are the images that are part of my portfolio that I added in there, or the background image. So everything, all the vectors will be in there, so you could literally side by side build this thing while you listen and watch this video. So let's get into it and start building this logo, and I'm going to wrap up at the end. When you're designing an email blast, you need to take into consideration the size of the piece, because how many times have you gotten an email blast in your email and you open it up and it's either too big or it's very narrow? Basically, what you want to do when it comes to the width is you want to stay around 550 between 700 pixels. A lot of websites say 600. I like to stretch it a little bit and go 700. When it comes to the height, you can make the height really as long as you want, but just know people that have smaller screens are going to see less of the piece when it opens up. And yes, most of the times we have to scroll down anyways. So they say to be safe, you want to keep the first 3 or 500 pixels less. That's where it's going to be seen by the email viewer. So you want to put something really catchy and really something important, like a special, like a coupon, like on the email blast on the screen, and that's going to get their attention. So get their attention quick. In this tutorial, you're going to learn a lot of things. As always, in all the tutorials I do, you're going to learn how to balance this whole piece. It's going to be nice and balanced. I'm going to show you some fun transparencies, this background vector that I have, how to do the tick lines to make it like a coupon. You're going to see multiple layers in here, or pieces on top of each other with transparencies, just like the part of the logo right here, which is the ink drops. And I'm going to just show you a lot of things with text boxes and just making sure everything is nice, neat, and clean. So let's jump into Adobe Illustrator and get this thing going. Now we're in Adobe Illustrator CS6, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up to File, New, and we're going to set up our document. So we're going to name our document Email Blast, and we are going to make sure there's one artboard and the size, okay? Normally this should be inches, but you're going to change it down to pixels, and you're going to do a width of 700 by 700, which is what I started out with, but then I ended up, my email blast was about 670 pixels in height. But the width is going to be 700. So aside from that, you do not need to add any bleed on it, and you're going to hit OK. Now we have our canvas. I'm going to paste what I have done earlier, so I have a reference right next to me, and I can pretty much do what I got to do here. So, all right, where do we start? The first thing we're going to do is we are going to type out the words thank you. Type out THANKYOU and an exclamation. All right, and actually I don't want the O and U to be that. And we're going to hit escape to end the selection, and now we can pull the corner, hold shift while you do this, and we're going to put thank you right there. And I'm going to use a font called Alex Brush from fontsquirrel.com. It's a free font that you can use in your projects. And the reason I put my name on this, or I could have put any name, is there is many email systems, like I use Constant Contact. There's also MailChimp, and there's a few more, but you can have personalized emails built. So if somebody builds this in an HTML format, they can have it. So if you, for instance, you're doing work, say you do this order through this company, and now they have some kind of an email system where it populates your name and your personal information. They can specify that this area up here will populate with each person's name. Because think about this again. Let's look at this real quick. I'm just going to create a quick box. I'm going to make it 300 pixels in width. Well, actually height. Just to kind of do this real quick. And I'm going to pull a guide down. I'm going to hit Command R, and I'm going to pull a ruler down right here. I'm going to delete that box. Basically, from this line up is 300 pixels, like I stated earlier. That's what people are going to see. So they're basically going to open up this email and they're going to say, boom, thank you for your recent order and your name. Now, what could be better than seeing your name there and saying, wow, I want to scroll down. Not to mention you see a $25 off coupon from some place that you actually just ordered at. And it's pretty cool, the personalization part of it. But coming back to here, we're basically going to take the type tool and we're going to type for your recent, and that is in a different font, obviously. I'm going to change that to, I think I did Helvetica. Let's do Myriad. It's my #1 font that I use. And I'm going to make that italics. And I'm going to come up here to type, change case to title case, because I want the first letter of each word capitalized. All right, for your recent order. And then I'm just going to now go to Option, click, and I'm going to hold Shift while I shift this down. That's not working. Option, click, shift it down to copy it. And we're going to type, you're going to type your name in here. I'm just going to type my name again. I'm going to hit Escape to end it again. Type, change case, title case. Because I didn't spell that out right. Or do it the correct way. And actually, you know what? I'm not liking this right now because it's not matching my font. So I'm going to come back up here and I'm actually, I'm just going to sample my font right here. I know that was Helvetica, a light version of it. And what you now want to do is you want to take these two and you want to make sure that they are lines through the center point. And you want to make sure they're horizontally aligned through the center by using this tool right here. If you can't find that, it's going to be in your align tools down here. And it's going to be the second from the top left. Horizontal align through the center point. Now, the reason that you want your text element to have a centered on it is because later on, say your name is like a ridiculously long name. You just see some crazy names out there. As I type at the end of the name, you see how it expands out from the front, from the middle. If I had this left justified and I started adding to the name, you see how it hits the end much quicker. So that's why you always want to, not always, but many times you want to have your text boxes centered like that for that reasoning. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to create these 3 boxes that go across. And let's see, how high are these boxes? Right now they're 228 by 390, but I'll show you a kind of a shortcut on how to do this. So basically, I'm just going to eye this up. I'm going to create a box. All right, we're going to create one. We're going to fill with black for right now. We're going to go to Option, click, hold Shift while you shift it over. 2, and Option, click, Shift to make a 3rd box. What you now want to do is you want to select all 3 of these, come into your Align tools, and come to the distribution of the objects line and distribute them through the horizontal center point, excuse me. So now they are, no matter what, they are definitely spaced perfectly apart. What you now want to do is you want to grab this right here and you basically want to pull this all the way to the end. And basically what that assures is that these 3 boxes are the same size and they are spaced out accordingly. But if you notice, I don't like the spaces in between here. It's too much. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to hit Command Z. I'm going to select these 4 right here. I'm going to nudge it over twice. And now I'm going to select these 2 and nudge that over twice. And I know there's still a line because I only nudged them both twice. What you're now going to do is you're going to take this and do the same thing again. And yep, I am very satisfied with that. What you're now going to do is, and you can have some fun with this, and you can change up colors if you'd like. Obviously, these colors went very well with the not only the logo, but just the soft feel. Obviously, there is no green in the logo, but there is the blue, the cyan, and the magenta. But the green still works very well with this. Yellow just doesn't work at all, or I couldn't get it to work. Anyway, what you want to do now is for right now, I'm just going to sample with the eyedropper tool the gradient that I had done, and basically make any gradient you would like in here. If you want to look at my gradient, it's basically made up of 2 colors. It's made up of a lighter version and a darker version of a color. Pretty much what you want to do here is just make those 3 gradients. So you're going to do 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now you're going to select all 3 of these, and we're going to take our gradient tool, and we're going to come from to the bottom to the top. All right, and what that does is it actually, as you had all 3 of those selected, it did all 3 of them at once. So now you have the same value on each of them, which is perfect, because if you did one at a time, you might have done this one, and then you could tell it breaks over here when these are breaking up here. So that's just a little tidbit right there. So the next thing you want to do is you want to well, actually what I'm going to do now is I'm going to Command G. I'm going to group these, and I'm going to hit Command C to copy, and I'm going to hit Command F to paste in front. Now it just pasted itself on top of itself. What I'm now going to do is I'm basically going to scale it up. I'm just going to take this. I'm not going to hold anything down on the keyboard, and I'm going to shift it up, and I'm just going to, now I'm going to nudge it up. So basically I just wanted to create like a little bit of a fun little thing going on up here that kind of keeps it like a little border on the top and the bottom. Now what I did here was, and let's see exactly what I did, because this design doesn't take the 20-30 minutes this tutorial does. This design took maybe 2 hours to really put together. So what I did here was I took these and I made the opacity to 50%. That's all I did with that. I'm now going to hit Option click, and I'm going to shift this entire thing down, but I'm going to hold Shift, because if I don't, it's going to come out here. So hold Shift and just eye it up. After a while, you're just, I know people who they're very anal about, oh, this has to be perfect, this and this has to be the same away. You know what? If you want to waste your time and spend hours, not hours, but so many extra minutes doing that stuff, it's a waste of time. If you want to refine it at the end of the project, do that, because your client might look at this and they say, I don't like it. So don't refine things till the end. And also, my whole point of saying that was, after a while, you'll be able to eye all this stuff up. So that's pretty much dead on. I guarantee you, if I pull a box here, if I measure this and this, it's not, it doesn't line up. So, but, we're talking about millionths of an inch or whatever. So now we got that shape in there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come into here where the rectangle tool is, click, hold down, and you're going to see a rounded rectangle tool. I'm going to click right up here, and I don't like that at all. I'll tell you why. It's too rounded on the corners. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to click, and I'm going to make my corner radius, I think 4, and we're going to hit delete. And I'm now going to start up here again, and I'm going to get it to where I want it to be. Cool. All right, cool. All right, so I want to show you something. Say we design this off the piece right here. What you want to do to center this on your artboard is you want to come up here, and you want to make sure your reference point is right in the dead center, and you want to take your x-axis, which is your horizontal axis, and you want to set it to 350, because 350 and 350 is 700. That's the width. The center point is at 350. So once you do that and you hit enter, it's going to plop right back to where it needs to be, perfectly centered. All right. Let me just make sure what I did here. Okay, very simply, what I did here is you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to scale this down a little bit. And you'll see why in a second. You're going to hold Option, and you're just going to scale this. And you're going to see you can go left and up and down, and it'll do it pretty much proportionally. All right? All right. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to fill that with white. I'm going to now copy this. So Command C, and I'm going to go to Command F, so I'm pasting it in front of itself. I paste a copy on top of itself. I'm going to take the fill, I'm going to swap it into the stroke, and now I'm going to do that same thing, but I'm going to scale it up and hold Option, just as I did a minute ago when I scaled down. All right, so what I did was I created a border like a little bit of it with the stroke where it's like they're like tracks. It's like a tick marks, and that'll will show people that it's a coupon. Now what you're going to do here is first thing, you're going to make sure they're not that far away like I did. Put them a little bit closer. All right, you're now going to come into your stroke and you're going to just click this box right here that says dash line. All right, right now my dash lines are about 2.7 on the dash. You can change the gaps and all this extra stuff here, just have some fun with it. But what I want to do is I want to come back into, for some reason, oh, there it is. Okay, it looked like it was opaque for a second. All right, so you obviously notice that this is not the same size as the original box. Now I'm going to show you something pretty cool here. We're going to take all our elements from here up, and we're not going to touch those boxes. We're going to select all of them, and we're going to hit Command 2. Command 2 is how you lock things. I'll back up a second. The other way is you go to Object, Lock, Selection. Now, I can't move any of this stuff accidentally, but I can move this. And the reason I locked it is you're going to see in 1 second. I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to select both of these elements, and I'm going to move it. I'm just going to make sure it was pretty much lined up with this other one. Now, if you take anything with rounded corners and you just literally take the box and you stretch it, look what happens to the corner. You see what happens? You don't want that. It's ugly. And you know what? If I see that, you doing that, I'm not going to be very happy. So what you want to do is you want to come to your direct selection, or A on your keyboard, and you want to literally select the points now. All right? There's points only in the corners on both sides. So I just hovered over and selected all of them. Now, as we zoom in and we click the point and hold shift while you're moving this down, you're going to notice nothing gets distorted. The reason I did that, I just want to see if it lined up. All right. So now we're happy with, our corners still being the same, the same amount of roundness. I don't even know if that made sense, as it's supposed to have. So, all right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to select this box, and we're literally just going to come to opacity, and we're going to change it to, I think 80 actually. Yeah, we're going to change it to 80%, so you can still see through. It looks cool. It's just a little bit of an effect you're going to do on it. The next thing you're going to do is you're just going to make a text box, and you're going to type in deals ending in March. We're going to hit escape. All right, you got to hit escape after you do these so it ends the selection. We're now going to change this to Myriad Pro, and I'm going to make it bold. And I'm going to turn it white. Now, what I did here was, and I'm going to hold the corner. I'm going to hit Shift and Option to scale it up through the center point. All right. I wanted to make sure that nothing was running through these lines. It's just, I just don't like that. It looks funny. So basically what you have to do is a little bit of refining here. All right. We're going to scale this a little bit till ending and the word in is pretty much centered. Centered in that green box. And we're going to click right after the S right here, and we're going to hold Option, and we're just going to nudge. We're adding tracking, which is after each letter, space after each letter. I'm going to move that over a little bit, and I'm going to hit Option again before the M, and I'm just going to space it out a little bit. Hit escape, and I'm just going to nudge this all over a little bit. All right. If you look, maybe deals has too much space now, so we're going to hit left. We're going to hit Option, and you're going to hit the left arrow on your keyboard. It pulls it in. nudge this over so it looks a lot better. Okay. All right. Oh, what did I do here? Let's come back up to this, and I just went into effect and stylize and drop shadow, and I'm gonna hit apply drop shadow. If I look at my drop shadow and come back in here, I did 2 pixels by 2 pixels by 2 pixels, and my opacity was 75%, and I hit OK. All right, just a nice little, accent on that box right there. We're now going to make these other 3 other boxes down here, and basically we're just going to take the rounded rectangle, and we're going to make 1, and we're going to now hit Option, hold Option. We're going to click this over. We're copying it basically, and you're going to hold Shift also. So I got Shift and Option down, but you have to do Option first. Click the element, start moving it, and then hold Shift while you're moving it. All right. The more you do this, it's just going to become second nature. And we're just now going to do this a 3rd time. So now we're going to have our 3 other, specials basically. You have our coupon up here and you have your specials. We'll do all those type boxes last. The next thing we're going to do is, since this deals ending in March is centered already, we're literally just going to hit Option, click, and we're going to hold Shift while we shift this down, and you can't see it. The reason you can't see it is because it's white on white. So we're going to change this to 40% black or gray, however you want to call it. And we're just going to say free shipping on most items. And this is why you want to center things all the time. All right. And obviously, this is not centered because this is not centered up here totally. But this is something that you had to fudge. We had to fudge because of we wanted it to line up in the boxes perfectly. So if you want to center this, again, you're going to come up here. Make sure that it is in the center, and you're going to make it 350 pixels. And that's it right there. I'm now going to scale this down a little bit, or you could just literally hit the font size down, and it will scale perfectly. And just move it up to where you want it to be. Now we're just going to work ourselves from the bottom to the top here. So the Pixel Perfect logo, you're just going to copy that. It's provided. So I'm just going to go Option, click, shift this over. And now we're going to come up here to Align Segment tool, and we're just going to click. We're going to hold down Shift, and we're just going to draw a little line right there. We're going to hit our stroke right here and change the stroke to about maybe half a point. I don't like really thick strokes. Next thing we're going to do is very simply, just like before, we're going to make 2 text boxes, and by this point I don't have to make those text boxes. You guys are pretty good with that. But what I do want to stress is the fact that you don't have to always get, an even point size, like, all right, it has to be 20 points exactly. What I like to do is I like to make sure that things line up. So if I take this imaginary URL, I can basically scale it so it lines up with the parentheses right here and the end of the one right here. So it's a nice perfect fit for that line of text. The very next thing we're going to do is we're going to type out these 3 text boxes right here. And actually, you know what? Like I said, text boxes by this point, you should be pretty good with them. So I'm just going to copy this one over, and for the first one, and I'm now going to copy this over. And basically, what I do here is with the $sign, that's its own text box. I'm now going to Option, click, Shift, and I'm going to type in the number 2, hit Escape. And I'm going to scale that up, make that nice and large. We got the 25. That's what I got to do. I'm going to hit Escape. And if you notice, I don't like the spacing in there. So again, I'm going to take the tracking on that and make it less. So I'm going to hit Option, and I'm going to pull those closer together by hitting the left arrow key. If you hit the right arrow, it's going to expand it. So I'm hitting the left arrow right there. And I'm now going to scale that down just a tad. I'm now going to copy that over. I'm going to type in 00. I'm going to hit Escape. I'm going to scale that down. All right, so now we got 1, 2, 3 text boxes. I'm actually going to make this a little bit larger. And I want the 00 to line up at the top of the 5. You don't got to pull out guides and do it, crazy time on that. Just kind of eye it up real quick. Type the word off, scale it down, make sure it fits in there nicely. You don't want things that, you don't want that. You want it to line up with the end of the O also. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to copy this first one over again because I want to keep your next order the same size as to show your appreciation. So let's see, your next order. We're going to hit escape. I'm going to push that up a little bit. I'm now going to copy that down, and we're going to do of any amount, but what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to change it from bold to italics. And the fact that this is centered already, aligned through the center, which I spoke about earlier, it makes it so that it doesn't move left or right, stays centered with everything else. And I'm just going to lower the point size a little bit, and I'm just going to move that back up. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here to my rounded rectangle tool. I'm going to click. I'm going to change the corner radius to 20 pixels, and I'm going to hit OK. Hit escape now, and I'm now going to redraw my element down here. I believe what I did on there was on the stroke, I put a gradient, which is what you can do in CS6. So if you don't have CS6, you can't do this, but I'm just going to put like a white, I believe I did white, gray, and then white. And then I changed my stroke. I applied it across the stroke. So if you zoom in, you know, you see, watch, 1, 2, 3 different options you can do with that. So if I make it a little thicker, you'll see it actually come out like that. But I don't want to go too crazy with that. Actually, it probably doesn't even need the gradient. No, I'm going to take it off, actually. I don't like the way it looks. But I'm just going to copy this down of any amount. Actually, let me center this first. I copy that down. And I'm going to type in click for details. Hit escape. I'm going to make it bold. I'm going to shrink it a little bit. I'm going to put it on top of this and turn it white. Click for details. All right, so now you're giving them an action to do on this email blast, which is important because you want people going to your website. So, or you want to stress to your client, you want them going to their website because it's going to help with SEO. It's going to show that their marketing dollars they're spending on these email programs are also working. They'll be able to assess, you know, and think of marketing strategies based on the message you're sending and the actual reaction you're getting from people. So we're now going to come down here, and I'm going to just copy that right there, and I'm going to hit 1,000. Well, I'm going to type in 1,000. We're going to type in business cards. We're going to hit escape. I'm going to make that just italics because it breaks it up really nicely. I'm going to now scale it down. I'm holding shift and option when I do this, so it scales proportionally through the center point of that text box. Okay, so that's business cards. Now these 3 business cards are my business cards that I've designed. So you know, if you guys have any that you've done, object arrange, bring to front, just put them in that area. That's pretty much what I did there. And again, as low as, hit escape, and we're going to do the $ as its own, 19. And again, we're going to option, we're going to take out the spacing after that 1, 1995. And under the 95, we're just going to put a line segment. Kind of hold it in there instead of have it just floating there. And now basically I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to hold shift while I select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the line segment, and I'm going to go option click. I'm going to shift this over. I'm just going to eye it up and center it basically on the fly. 500. Type in trifold brochures. Type in 2,500 postcards. We're going to hit escape, and we're going to do 79. All right, pull up some spacing in there. Nudge that over. Move that over a little bit. All right, 110. You're going to notice there's a lot of space issues right here. So we got to fix that. Hit escape. Move 95 all the way over. Actually, I'll also scale this down, the price just a little bit, just to fit in there. You can do that. Again, like over here, I basically just took these and I copied them over. All right. And I'm just going to send that to the front, and I'm going to move that. See, it could go over the tick marks right there. It looks pretty cool. And then I'm going to just move the 79.95 over a little bit. Maybe even scale it down a little bit. Same thing over here. I'm going to take these two postcards and I'm going to pull them in. Basically what I did was I pulled these in as flat files, and then I added a stroke behind them, a white stroke, to kind of, you know, punch it right off the background. I'm going to move this one down a little bit because it's hitting the B on brochures. Cool. All right. I have to change this. Add only here. Only all in caps. Hit escape. Only 110.95. All right. What else we got to do here? All right, cool. So now we're ready to start playing with our background. Now, you notice that I'm working on one layer here, and that's because I don't have, you know, you don't have to use layers all the time. I believe they slow you down. As long as you know how to lock and unlock elements and send things to the back and send things forward, you'll be cruising through layouts in no time. So I just want to pull this. This is a vector back here that I purchased, and it's a scalable vector, but it's not an editable vector. Anyway, I can't edit those little areas. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this right in the background, and I'm going to make sure that you go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back, that it is in the background. And right now my piece is going to end right here. So what I want to do now actually is I want to take a rectangle, and I'm just going to draw right here, and I'm going to fix my artboard because it's going to end right here. So you're going to make that the size of your artboard. You're going to come up to Object, Artboards, Fit to Selected Art. And if you notice, my artboard just shrunk about 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Now I have to just delete this box right up here. And if you now notice, I got some things going on. It looks a lot different than over here. You know, you got this white coming out and subtle on the back. Right here, free shipping on most items is not standing out. And thank you, that's not popping off the page. First thing I want to do here is I want to take thank you and I want to change it to magenta. I believe that's what I did over here. Yep, 100% magenta. I'm going to scale that up a little bit. And now what I want to do is I want to take a rectangle. All right, I want to take a rectangle, and you can really do it, you know, let's see, I want to figure out the size I want. So let's say, all right, that's the size I want. In this rectangle, I want to make a gradient. And I want to make that gradient white to white. All right, you see that? Let me just back up to a default right here. White to white. Now I'm going to take one of these whites and I'm going to hit the opacity here. I'm going to change it to 0. And what it's going to make is it's going to make a nice fade from white to nothing. So I'm going to now come into my gradient tool. I'm going to click from top to bottom, or depending on how you put yours, actually bottom to top on mine. And now I'm going to move this. I have this gradient that fades into the background image, which is really cool. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go to Option, click. I'm going to shift it down because I'm going to copy it basically. I want it on the bottom also. I'm going to hit the reflect tool up here, or O on the keyboard, click, hold shift, and then just move your mouse down and it'll flip it around. And now I can just literally pull this up to where I want it. And I'm now gonna click 1, 2, and actually, you know what? I'm gonna copy these over. You'll see why in a second. I'm gonna click 1, 2. I'm gonna hit Command 2 because I want to now lock those. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to pull that back. Remember, I just copied those over. I'm gonna change that white to a, let's see, no, a 20% gray. All right, nice and light. I'm gonna flip that over. Let's just check what I did on my original. I like having fun with transparencies. Okay, cool. I thought so. All right, I'm gonna take this right now and I'm gonna make my transparency a multiply, so you can now see through the background. If you see what I did, if you delete it, I'm gonna pull it back in. all right, to make it pop off the page a little bit. I'm actually going to change that gray to, let's say, 12%. I don't want it too much. I'm now going to go to Option, click Shift. I'm going to flip it around again, and I'm going to do it from the bottom because I want to push that logo off the background just a little bit. I'm actually going to delete that box over here I made. Okay, so I'm going to unlock everything by going to Object, Unlock All, which I did already through the keyboard command shortcuts. But I'm now going to select 1, 2, while holding Shift, 3, and, oh, jeez. Where the hell did I go? And 4, the one on the bottom. And I'm now going to hit Command 2 to lock those. All right. Now, the only thing under that is the background. So if I click and move it, yep, just to make sure it's the background, hit Command 2. Now, anything I select is just these text boxes and this text down here. So I'm going to hold Shift while I do this. I'm now going to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front, and you're going to see some magic happen. All right. Again, basically what I did was I'm going to select 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to delete these. So we went from this flat design to this. It makes it more soft and it makes things pop a little bit better. All right. The very last thing I did was you're going to copy the Pixel Perfect logo up here, and you're just going to hit A on your keyboard because this is all grouped, and you're just going to delete these elements of it. All right. Now we're going to take this right here, and let's see. Again, we're going to come up to the reference point, make sure it's at 350, so it's directly centered on our document. And I had this come over just a little bit, and for right now, I'm going to go to View, Hide Artboard, so that black line disappears around it. All right, and now what else? The very last thing, let's see. What did I do with these? The last thing, transparency. Okay. All right, I'm going to come into my logo real quick. I'm going to delete some things. All right. All right, cool. All right, that's the shape I want right there. So I'm going to literally just hit copy on there. I'm going to delete all this stuff. All right, now basically we could just have fun with transparencies here, flip them around however you want. I believe here I used I actually used a gradient in there to do that, but right now I'm just going to keep this, it's black, the fill, but when I do an overlay, it does like 40% of that, and I have it on 40%, excuse me. I'm going to copy that over, put one in the background here, scale a little bit. I'm also going to rotate it. 1, 2. This is all experimentation. Actually, do I want to do that or multiply? All right, if I do a multiply, it's got to be like 10%. There we go. And then I had one more down here by the 79. Rotated that a little bit more. Let's see, do we miss anything on this? Nope, that is it. Well, aside from the last thing was I just put a little gray border around here just to kind of contain it. It wasn't necessary, but I wanted to. So I'm going to delete that fill, and I'm going to make it 10% black. All right, and that is the Pixel Perfect Printing Email Blast. All right, so thanks for joining us for another episode of Graphic Design Layout Bootcamp. In the comments below, let me know what you learned in this video. And there's another 10 videos left in this series, and there's 15 prior to this one. So there's so much you're going to learn in this series. Every video is different, and every video I also talk about client experiences and things that happened during the project. So definitely check all our previous videos out. Here are a couple right here for you to click on and get to as a shortcut. Subscribe to our channel by clicking this button up here, and you'll be able to get these before anybody else does in your email. Also, please share us out on your social networks. I put a lot of time and energy into these videos, so all I ask is that you just get these out there, and I know you guys will happen. I appreciate it a lot, and definitely interact with the comments, and let me know what you guys are learning, what you could have done, what you maybe thought may have done better, or what you would have done, or whatever. Take the challenge. Take the files that I provided to you and redesign them into something else. It doesn't have to be an email blast. It could be a flyer, or it could be a postcard, or whatever you'd like, and send it to me. I want to show everybody else how other artists are taking the same ideas, the same concepts, and creating completely different types of designs. So I'll see you guys next week for the 17th episode of the Graphic Design Layout Bootcamp. Have a great night. Peace.